Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. It is Sunday, the 29th day of October, and a very happy birthday to two of my best friends from childhood or lifelong friends. They're both, I just realized it was the 20th of October and it's their birthday. So, Jerry Cripps and Randy Reese. A shout out to both of those fine gentlemen as they celebrate their birthday today. Um, and thank you for clicking on, by the way. We're just getting started. Got some. We are looking in at a live shot from four different angles of what's going on in Gaza. Relatively quiet right at this moment. That hasn't been the case throughout the day or throughout the weekend. For those that are unaware, um, Israel started its ground invasion into Gaza, the occupation of Gaza, which it will eventually become as they start the ground movements. Um, they'll have to not only take areas but hold those areas, and it's going to be quite the. Uh, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. It's not going to be short. It's going to be long. It's going to require, evidently, a lot of United States funding. Um, and it could potentially escalate into something much, much bigger, as we've talked about on here before. So, again, thank you for clicking on. I've got a video from Chris that's going to be coming up. Actually, I'll just go ahead and we'll go ahead and play it now, and I'll probably play this a couple of times. Hold on, hang on. Get back up here. Okay, I moved it accidentally. Hold on. Oh my gosh! Come on, here we go. All right. Um, what we're going to be looking at here is where am I at? Hang on. Well, I can't find my tab to start the video for some reason. I'm not sure where it went. Here we go. Sorry, I've got a bunch of tabs open for those that don't understand. Apologies, but a lot of things to get to, including this. Um, Pro-Palestinian protesters storm Russian airport. Again, if you're just clicking on what you're watching, these are pro-Palestinian supporters. It comes from Reuters originally. They have stormed an airport in Russia because an Air Al flight was coming in. A Israeli flight was going to be coming in. And they were looking for the people on the flight. Again, this is in Moscow, Russia, and we will.
Most people have no clue that in 2023 the best.
And we will. We'll show that again. We'll replay that again here later on this evening. And in the meantime, so protests all around the world, okay, because Israel went into Gaza, and we've talked on here how that is the domino. Once Israel crosses into Gaza, which they have, it is well, it is, according to many, it's going to be past the point of no return. Thus, the title for tonight. According to Newsweek, Iran has issued an ominous red line warning to the U.S. and Israel. This came in 5 hours ago. And what this means, basically, this was the red line. Crossing into Gaza was the red line. And now that the red line has been crossed, the warning is that this fire will come to the United States was one of the quotes from one of the leaders in Iran. So again, things are going to be escalating, not only in the Middle East, not only in Eastern Europe, but possibly in the Asian Pacific, as China's state media issues a dire warning to the United States about dangerous military tensions. And again, this comes from Newsweek, and this is in reference to Taiwan. If you watch the show, you know that China currently has an aircraft carrier strike force behind Taiwan in the Pacific Ocean. They have an aircraft carrier strike force headed to the Middle East, and they have an aircraft carrier strike force headed to Haiti in the Caribbean. So China is not safeguarding their aircraft carriers, keeping them in port. They are indeed utilizing them and positioning them as either deterrents or offensive strike forces. Now, Biden has told, this comes from USA Today, Biden has told Israel to, quote, operate by the rules of war, end quote, but a ground invasion is bloody, fraught, and expensive. Media blackout is going on in Gaza. Absolutely no internet connections, very little information coming out of Gaza. That's why you're seeing all the cameras pointing into Gaza, because very little's coming out. You can control the narrative that way. If information's being withheld, the only story they're getting is the story of the people withholding the other side's information. And I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to say it many, many times as the weeks progress here. Hopefully, the weeks progress. War is basically terrorism. It is bringing terror to innocent people, and it's just a matter of which side of the issue that is being fought over, or the land, or the whatever it may be. It's whether you want to believe it or not, it's true. One side's terrorists is the other side's freedom fighter. The person that one side calls a terrorist, the other side calls a freedom fighter. Israel, the Israel army is trying to restore the lands of Israel according to the Bible. The Palestinian people are trying to restore what they believe to be their homeland prior to 1920 to 1948. Colonization, blah, 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 blah. Long story, too long for tonight. But it is going to be bloody. It will, and the images that we do see in the West will not show the consequences to the extent the rest of the world is seeing what is happening, because Israel is our ally. And our media is going to put out what is best for Israel. Israel says it will fight Elon Musk's effort to supply Starlink internet to, quote, internationally recognized aid organizations in Gaza. This comes from Business Insider. And again, Musk is trying to utilize his technologies to influence geopolitical situations, much as he is in Ukraine and Russia. Haven't talked about it much, but Musk actually turned off some of the Starlink um, satellites over Ukraine at one point to deter Ukraine from an operation they were going to do, allegedly. Anyway, um, again, it comes from Business Insider, and Israel says it will fight Musk's effort to supply Starlink internet to aid organizations. Now, the reason, the logic behind this from the Israeli side is going to be because Hamas is going to take advantage and steal anything and everything that comes in. Reports, as you might imagine, Gaza is under siege. Siege is something that's been done since biblical terms. It was one of the most famous sieges here in America is the siege of Vicksburg by the Union Army, and basically you starve. You cut off all access. There's no inflow or outflow of anything, and that is what Israel is doing to Gaza right now. It is a siege, and people get desperate. And there are reports that that warehouses that are being broken into, and anything and everything that can be used is being stolen. And it's not a surprise. People are trying to survive. Uh, again, tonight is kind of like showing you um, why when Chris is on with me, Chris is on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 p.m. We give a world situational report, and um, it's kind of showing you the things that I look at on a regular basis. And if you don't believe that I monitor a whole lot of things, that, if you were ever behind the scenes, you would see what a boring person I am, because I devote so much time to this stuff. But it's important, in my opinion, that those that want to know what's going on have some place to come where they can judge for themselves. And that's what we try to do here. This is another one of those um, little dominoes. Israel has recalled its diplomats from Turkey following Erdogan's remarks. He's the leader of Turkey, obviously. Turkey is a key domino in that, well, first of all, geography wise, it is between Russia and the Middle East. And geopolitical wise, it is a member of NATO, which the United States is a member of NATO. NATO is currently fighting Russia. And it is also a Muslim nation, which fundamentally puts them in alignment with the Palestinians and Hamas and Hezbollah. So this happened yesterday. The fact that Israel's basically cutting diplomatic ties with Turkey makes the United States more. It involves us even more, because we become a go-between between those two countries, as we are between Israel and many countries at the moment. The Israel Defense Force, according to ABC News, this came in 11 minutes before we came on. The Israeli Defense Force hits hundreds of Hamas targets and terrorist cells. the bombing has been incredibly intense throughout the day. Um, and and while we looked in a few minutes ago and it was relatively quiet at that time, that is the exception and not the rule. Um, there, Israel is hammering Gaza hard, and there are boots on the ground. The invasion has the second stage, as has been called, um, has started, and again, it's going to be long. Um, the reaction to that second stage starting, the reaction to the invasion, the occupation of Gaza by Israel, has sparked protests around the world. If you're just joining us, we had we showed this a little bit earlier. Um, Wait a minute, hold on. There we go. We showed this a little bit earlier, and here we go. Pro-Palestinian protesters storming a Russian airport because an Israeli flight was supposed to land there. And again, protests going on all around the world. But this is one you might not hear a lot about. As you can see, it was a rather violent storming of the airport. And not done by just a handful of people either. Again, they are searching for the people that are supposed to be coming in on an Israeli flight. And they tell them they're not here, they're not here, they're the other way. We don't see what happens when they went the other way. We see them police car here. Again, this was in Russia, and it was pro-Palestinian supporters looking for a Israeli air flight that was supposed to be coming in. What happens around the world is we don't often hear it here in the United States, or we don't pay attention. And we're going to find out the world is a really small place. Al Jazeera put out something a day ago. This is a good article if you're interested. Will the Israeli-Hamas war upend China's Middle East ambitions? If you've watched the show for a while, you know that before October 7th, when Hamas attacked Israel, we talked a lot. We were talking primarily about the geopolitical expansion, colonialism, modern day style of China, of Russia. Of course, we ourselves are guilty of it here in the United States. We're the big three, and we might have to be fighting the other two. And we need to hope that the rest of the world doesn't come together and vote us off the island. Russia's new general hints at Putin's expansive ambitions, suggesting Eastern Europe may be next in line for conflict. This comes 7 hours ago, and not a surprise, as we've talked before many times. You know, the possibility of Putin moving into the Baltics, Lithuania and Estonia and Latvia. taking Poland, possibly even trying to go into Finland, and the importance of Ukraine being that this is cliche, but the last bastion of democracy in Eastern Europe, being the Ukraine is the border country that keeps Russia from rolling across the rest of Eastern or rest of Europe, Eastern and Western, because they're not going to stop at Poland or Germany if they start rolling. They're going to want to dominate the entire European continent, and and I think that's still probably their goal. Hang on a second. We talked about protests around the world. Here in the United States, this comes from Fox News. Pro-Palestinian protests turned violent near universities in New Orleans. Tulane University students joined Fox and Friends on the weekend to discuss the fact that the Israeli Palestinian conflict is impacting college campuses here in the United States. As soon as it happened, the very first night we talked about it, I said my concern is the colleges, because we have such a mixture of ideologies and um, people from around the world on our college campuses. And normally that's an incredibly great thing. Something like this happens, and you've got, and here's how it's probably going to play out. You're going to find your more liberal campuses, um, the the Jewish students are probably going to be more targeted. You've got your conservative colleges and any kind of pro-Palestinian support uh, or Middle Eastern students. They don't have to be Palestinian. They're going to be targeted. Um, it's happened from UCLA to, from the West Coast to the East Coast, and we're not hearing a lot about it because um, it's it's a dangerous situation, and we're going to have more and more distractions, more and more things that, as far as what we see on our mainstream medias, they're going to be more and more smaller things that are blown up to be much bigger, because there are a lot of things going on that they just don't want you to be aware of, and especially if you're against it. Okay, let's just put it that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, yeah. Um, Putin allied Belarus, again coming from Newsweek. This was 2 hours ago. Putin allied Belarus warns it has every reason to attack NATO country. So we will, we are focusing on the Middle East, but um, the Eastern European theater is not even close to being resolved. 3 hours ago, according to Newsweek, Hamas says Russia is, quote, our closest friend, end quote. And as you saw, um, a significant number of pro-Palestinian supporters in at least an area of one Russian airport. Um, that happened earlier today. I don't have all the details on that video. We will show it one more time here for those that have just joined us. Um, so the ties from Hamas, Russia is their closest friend. Um, I would think Iran would be their closest friend, but Iran, I think it's the hierarchy. It's Russia, Iran, Hamas, and and um, you can't discount that one quote that Russia is our closest friend. Um, I've been talking about this for a few days. It's coming out now in the fringes of the media. Navy aircraft carrier, that's the Dwight David Eisenhower that we were talking about. The USS Eisenhower is on the move towards Iran's quote doorstep end quote. Um, it was originally we reported it was originally going out to um, support the Gerald R. Ford. They were going to be positioned in the Eastern Mediterranean, um, off the coasts of Lebanon and Israel. Um, they've decided that Gerald R. Ford, the biggest warship in the world, can probably handle whatever may be coming in the Mediterranean, at least at the moment. And that the Eisenhower is going to be better positioned as a deterrent in the Persian Gulf off of the coast of Iran. Uh, is this a provocateur movement trying to provoke? Um, we'll talk about that tomorrow night with Chris, as we have been in the past. The stories, if you pay attention to the whole episode and you connect each one of the stories, you see where things are heading. U.S. revives the world's strongest bomber in bid to counter China. Um, the B-2 bomber seen here, massive bomber. They were all grounded for safety concerns, and they are being put. It has been announced that they're going to be put back into service. They were grounded for 6 months due to safety issues, but the U.S. Air Force recently approved the resumption of B-2 flights. And again, this is just another potential one of the little things that needs to be in place before anything happens. We are moving pieces around. I think not anybody, but trust me. If I shouldn't say that, I hate saying trust me, but if you don't know me, you can trust me on this one. Pieces are being moved around. If you're just joining us, thanks for clicking on. If you've been watching from the start, you can see the pieces are being placed in preparation for whatever may be coming. Iran's president has declared Israel has crossed the red lines, as we said earlier. It is the domino when when Israeli Defense Forces went in Saturday. That was the red line, and now is that are we going to see reciprocity coming to Israel for what they are doing in Gaza? It had been threatened. It was the threat. It was, and so often we hear from Russia that, well, if this happens, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And this happens and Russia doesn't end up doing much of anything. I hope that's the case with Iran as well, that these threats were not, these threats were put out as deterrents and they weren't actually red lines. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that's what we should expect from Iran at all. And I imagine I'm not alone in that opinion. And one final little piece of information: the most non-threatening, the most mundane piece of information coming out of the episode tonight is that my old friend, former vice president, former governor of Indiana, former congressman from Indiana's 6th district, former political opponent of yours truly, has dropped out of the Republican presidential primary. I don't think that's a huge surprise to anybody. He said it just wasn't his time, and I'm inclined to agree with him. We'll pop back in here. This is again. Okay, there we go. You can see the sun is starting to come up. It's 11:33 p.m. here in the eastern part of the United States. The sun is starting to rise over the Middle East, and we've got Gaza #1 camera, Gaza #2 view. The border of Israel and Gaza, and I'm not sure why this is still so dark, unless this is somebody that's running a recording, which some streams do. You'll find that, and this view might be that might be that situation compared to the other three. And this is the Israel-Lebanon border again. Lebanon, Hezbollah. If you don't have a clue why this is happening or what's going on, go back and watch our issues, our episodes. Chris and I discussed the issues that have led up to this. We're going to continue to do that. We'll be on tomorrow night at 9 Eastern time, and Chris has a story for you, a true story that you probably aren't aware of, and it may give you a little different perspective of why this has come to the place it has come. And at some point, Chris and I are going to have to talk about the biblical ties, because part of my background is I'm a retired United Methodist minister, and the biblical ties not only to some of the prophecies, but the locations, and one of the main things I want to bring up with Chris when we do that, we're not going to be doing that tomorrow night. As I said, we've got other things to talk about, including if something happens to Putin, who's going to be in charge of Russia. That's pretty significant, so we're going to touch on that. And then Chris has a story, and I'm going to keep saying this again and again and again and again and again. Everything that is happening in the Middle East is a result of something that has happened before. It is a retribution. All we're seeing is retribution for something that happened, that was retribution for something that happened, that was retribution for something that happened, that was that is the simple version of all of this, is that it is there are sometimes fragile times of peace, but for the most part, this is a land of what should be great serenity and peace, and the home of the three monotheistic religions, but instead is a constant land of conflict and turmoil. And biblically, you can trace it all the way back to Abraham, and Sarah, and that in itself fascinates me when it comes to looking at the Bible. And hey, if, I've got a lot of friends that aren't religious. I don't consider myself religious. I could consider myself spiritual. But I've got a lot of friends that are really, really not religious, and that's totally fine. We've talked on here before about how they've updated the cameras at the bottom over here. And again, everything seems relatively calm. The areas we're looking at doesn't they don't appear to be uh, damaged along the Israel Gaza border. This will be to the south. The northern part of Gaza is just decimated. So we're seeing views that were that are approved, that are wanting to get out. Um, and that doesn't mean we don't see the bombs in the distance and everything, because we do as we monitor it. But it's just a reminder that we're being shown what we're being shown what people want us to see, um, and always think about that when you're looking at media, even if it's me. Think about, um, why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this so that people that may not know can at least have the information and decide for themselves. That's why we do this. And again, Chris will be on with us tomorrow night. We started. He comes on at 9 o'clock. I'll be on about from 8:45 to 9 o'clock, somewhere in that time frame, and then Chris will join us. And then after Chris and I are done, I'm going to stay on for a little bit tomorrow night in case anybody has questions or wants to give their opinions on things. We're going to do it a little bit different tomorrow night and see how that works. So until then, thank you for clicking on. I want to show one more time, if I can, we'll show the, hang on. Let me make sure there we go. All right, get to full screen. This is pro-Palestinian protesters storming the Russian airport. And it's just an example of the protests that have been going on around the world and will continue, and things will continue to escalate. And it's all because the domino has fallen and Israel has crossed the Gaza border. Again, just one of the reports coming out of Russia from pro-Palestinian supporters storming a Russian airport earlier this evening. So We'll be on tomorrow night, 9 p.m. We'll catch you up on everything that has happened between now and then. And thank you all for being on here. Um, and thank you. I'm going to hop over here to the chat real quick. True, thank you for being here. Nancy, not going away. Casey, hi, Casey. Great to see you. Great to see everybody in here, and thank you all for watching. Hello to Mater. Okay, you guys have had a pretty good chat. Good. I always intend to peace, love, and unity. Hello. I always intend to interact more with the chat, and then I get on my roll of going, through the stories and trying to not rush, but trying to be as expedient as I can to, not take up any more time than necessary. So, again, thank you. Thank you all for watching. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. I hope you'll join us. And until then, namaste, shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon you from the Most High, the one true living God. If you're a Christian, time to be praying. If you're a person of faith, time to be praying. If you're not, time to be really digging on some positive vibrations, because it's a dark world, and we do need to be a light. We need to generate peace, peaceful thoughts, peaceful actions towards each other, especially each other here in the United States. The domino has fallen. We have passed the point of no return. Where this takes us, we shall see. But the more together we can be, the better off we will be. And I'll leave it at that. I love y'all like chocolate chip cookies. It is a dark world. Do try to be a light. That's for real. And